Welcome everybody, my name is Michael, and today we're discussing about the gig work economy and how the market has changed everything over the past year. Suddenly you had applications that 2 or 3 years ago were actually paying out well, and now you have people who, first of all, lost their jobs or lost parts of their income, and they are approaching the gig market for the first time, or they're trying to work more hours for the first time ever. And this is suddenly a wave of thousands of people in your local market, meaning your local market gets saturated for one application, so they move on to another application, then that gets saturated, then another gets saturated. It's not just the amount of people going on, but also the amount of people using as a consumer from the other end of the process. And if they are using it, then they're less prone to tip, which many of these gig economy apps rely on the end user tipping well, just like at a restaurant. Otherwise, you're going to be making very, very poor wages. And also, in certain parts of the country, fuel prices are still very high, meaning it doesn't make sense for you to drive around where previously you could actually rely on this for part-time, very few full-time situations. But even so, you could rely on, probably 15, 20, maybe even in certain situations for some applications up to $30 an hour. There was some applications where even up to a year or two ago during COVID, for example, you had Spark, where suddenly this is a Walmart app where DoorDash started going down, Uber Eats started going down, Uber and Lyft have gone downhill a long time ago. But delivering food, okay, whatever, there was moments where you were able to pick and choose good gigs. Now the applications have changed. So now there's very few opportunities to make good money, and you're seeing applications suddenly throw huge amounts of tasks that will actually, once you do the calculations, make you go into the negative or make a couple bucks per hour after you rule out depreciation of your vehicle, after you rule out gas, after you rule out taxes. It doesn't make sense anymore. And again, the cost of living is going up, so you need to make more money. Whether it is an application, whether you're delivering food or people or packages or medical equipment or whatever it may be, almost all of these applications, once they're saturated and people stop using them how they should, or some people decide, you know what, tips are not important, meaning at the end of the day, it's no longer feasible. So in Europe, there was this application called Volt, where I remember, I'm not sure how it is right now, it wasn't a Polish company, but they did have a base in Poland. I remember it was the equivalent of DoorDash, but better. If you if you signed up for, let's say, a specific time block of 8 hours, then ahead of schedule, if during those scheduled hours nothing happened, let's say during 1 hour you make one order, then the next hour you make two orders, then the next you get zero. During those hours where you would make less than, for the moment, that was 20 PLN at the time, which was like, let's say, around $5, $6. And this was, you could use your vehicle such as I was, but in many European cities, a lot of these guys are biking around. That was pretty hardcore, especially in the winter time. You would get that guaranteed salary. If you made more, you got to keep whatever you made more, but it was 20 times 8, or however many hours you signed up for, which is great. So if you scheduled yourself for many days in a row, usually a week ahead of time, you were actually able to get many days 160 or more guaranteed, meaning on average you'd be going 200 to 250, which was decent for those local conditions. The problem with many of these applications is also they stopped with the sign-up bonuses, they stopped with certain referral programs, they stopped caring about their general users. Sometimes the applications would glitch, you would have to jump through many hoops, support would be non-existent, and you usually make it a little bit better just to lure you in, get you to work harder for the first month, and then it just drops off from there. And it's funny, for example, with DoorDash, you will have hotspots where you're sitting in the hotspots and nothing's going on right now, and then you go outside those hotspots and it's just oversaturated like crazy. So it doesn't even make sense anymore, where you're burning a lot of the gas and Maybe every now and then you might get lucky and here's one good order, but there's still going to be an army of people who are going to take those $2 orders where it makes 0 cents, even with a Prius. I don't get it. So with that said, it's getting tougher out there, and I don't know, just wanted to update you on that. It doesn't make sense anymore. Was nice to make a quick buck or two, but thanks for watching. It no longer is feasible, and I don't understand how people who are actually working fully part-time or fully full-time